The massive transport ship hummed softly as it approached the blue and green planet. Inside the vessel, Dae-sung adjusted his translation device and checked his student identification one more time. He was nervous. This was not just any study abroad program. This was an exchange to Earth, a planet known throughout the galaxy with a reputation that made most alien species shudder. A death world, his grandmother had warned him. You'll be studying on the most dangerous planet in the known universe. Dae-sung remembered her worried face when he first told her about the exchange program. Most of his friends from the Galactic University had thought he was crazy. Who voluntarily goes to a planet where the native species could survive in almost any condition? A planet with predators, extreme temperatures, and environmental challenges that would kill most alien life forms within minutes. But Dae-sung was different. He was curious. He wanted to understand. The ship's interior was filled with students from various planets. Trina, a crystalline being from the gas clouds of Nexus 9, floated nervously near the window. Her translucent body flickered with anxiety. Next to her, Krell, a silicon-based life form from the rocky planet Mineralis, clicked his rocky appendages together in a rhythm that suggested deep concern. I heard humans can survive in temperatures that would turn us into dust, Trina whispered, her crystalline form shimmering with each word. Krell responded with a series of clicks that translated to, and they heal from injuries that would be fatal to most species. It sounds impossible. Dae-sung listened to their conversation. He knew the stories. Humans had survived ice ages, massive geological changes, countless wars, and environmental challenges that would have wiped out most civilizations. They were tough, adaptable, almost unbreakable. The ship began its descent. Through the window, Dae-sung could see the planet growing larger. Blue oceans stretched beneath white clouds. Green landmasses appeared, with brown mountain ranges and vast forests. It looked peaceful, beautiful, even, but he knew looks could be deceiving. A soft chime indicated their arrival. The ship's artificial gravity adjusted, preparing for landing. Dae-sung felt a mix of excitement and fear. He had studied Earth for years, its history, its biology, its incredible species. But studying and experiencing were two very different things. The landing was smooth, too smooth, almost. Dae-sung had expected something more dramatic, given the planet's reputation. A team of human administrators waited at the arrival area. They wore simple uniforms and had welcoming smiles that seemed both friendly and slightly challenging. "Welcome to Earth," announced a tall woman with short brown hair. Her name tag read Professor Martinez. "I'm here to guide you through your orientation and help you understand our planet." The alien students gathered around, a diverse group representing at least 12 different galactic species. Some floated, some walked on multiple limbs, and some, like Dae-sung, looked almost humanoid. Professor Martinez began her presentation. Holographic images appeared, showing Earth's diverse environments. Icy Antarctic landscapes, burning desert regions, dense rainforests, freezing mountain peaks, volcanic areas. Each image seemed designed to showcase the planet's extreme variety. "Earth is not just a planet," she explained. "It's a challenge, a living, breathing test of survival and adaptation." Dae-sung leaned forward. This was why he had come. To understand, to learn, to see if the stories about Earth were true. Little did he know, his perspective would change completely in the coming weeks. The planet had stories to tell, stories of survival, of unexpected strength, of a species that refused to be defeated by any challenge. The orientation was about to begin, and Earth was waiting. HFY stared at the microscope, her three-fingered hand carefully adjusting the focus. The human laboratory was unlike anything she had ever seen before. Sterile white walls, complex machines, and an atmosphere that seemed to buzz with scientific energy. "This cannot be real," she muttered to herself. The sample before her was a human blood culture. What should have been a simple biological specimen was turning out to be a complex universe of its own. Millions of cells worked together in a dance of survival that defied everything she had learned about biological systems. Earlier that morning, Professor Rodriguez had introduced them to the human immune system. "Think of it as a living, breathing defense network," she had said. But those words seemed like an understatement now. Jaehua watched as white blood cells moved through the sample. They weren't just defending against threats. They were hunting them. When a simulated bacterial invader was introduced, the white blood cells didn't just fight. They consumed, tracked, and eliminated with a precision that made her previous understanding of biological defense look like a child's drawing. "Incredible," she whispered. Dae-sung walked by, pausing to look at her screen. "What are you seeing?" he asked. Jaehua pointed to the microscopic battle happening in the sample. "Look at how they respond. These white blood cells, they're not just defending. They're learning, adapting. It's like each cell has its own intelligence." The human laboratory was filled with alien students, each discovering something new about human biology. Some looked shocked. Others seemed scared. A few were taking notes with devices that could record millions of data points per second. Professor Rodriguez continued her lecture. "Humans have survived countless diseases. When a new threat appears, their bodies don't just fight. They create memory. They remember how to beat the invader and become stronger." She brought out a series of medical records, images of humans who had survived conditions that would have killed most other species, a person who recovered from a deadly virus, another who healed from wounds that would have been fatal to most life forms. "Our microbiome is not just a defense," she explained. "It's a complex ecosystem. Trillions of bacteria live inside us, and most of them are actually helping us survive." Jaehua's mind was racing. In her home world, a simple infection could wipe out entire populations. Here, humans treated serious diseases like temporary challenges to be overcome. During a break, she approached Krell, the silicon-based life form. "Did you see the cellular response?" she asked. Krell's rocky surface shifted, a sign of confusion. "It defies all biological logic. These cells, they don't just fight. They remember. They improve." The afternoon session focused on human genetic adaptability. Professor Rodriguez showed them genetic modifications humans had undergone to survive in different environments. People living in high mountain regions had developed unique lung capacities. Those near the ocean had different metabolic processes. "Humans don't just survive," the professor said. "They evolve. Quickly, efficiently." As the day progressed, Jaehua's understanding of biology was completely reshaping. These weren't just cells. They were tiny warriors, intelligent, adaptive, relentless. By the end of the lab session, something had changed in the alien students. The whispers were different. No longer were they talking about Earth as a dangerous place to be feared. Now, they were speaking with a mix of respect and wonder. Jaehua looked at her notes, pages filled with observations that would change biological understanding across the galaxy. Humans weren't just a species. They were a living, breathing example of survival's most complex art. As she left the laboratory, one thought repeated in her mind. Humans were not just alive. They were masters of life itself. The transport vehicle bumped and shook as it moved across the harsh Antarctic landscape. Some men pulled his thermal jacket tighter, watching the frozen world outside. Around him, other alien students pressed their faces against the windows, their breath creating small clouds of condensation. "How can anything live here?" whispered Trina, her crystalline body flickering with confusion. Their guide, a human named Dr. Emily Carter, smiled. She wore only a standard winter suit, no extra protection, no special heating. This alone shocked the alien students. "Humans have lived in Antarctica for decades," she explained. "We've built research stations, conducted scientific missions, and survived in temperatures that would freeze most life forms solid." The vehicle stopped. Outside, the world was white. Pure white. Endless white. The temperature was -40 degrees, a number that meant certain death for most species, but not for humans. Dr. Carter opened the door. Cold wind rushed in. Some of the alien students pulled back, their bodies unable to handle such extreme conditions. But some men leaned forward. He was here to understand. "We'll do a short walk," Dr. Carter announced, "just to show you how humans adapt." The group stepped out. The cold hit like a wall. Some men watched in amazement as Dr. Carter walked normally, her breath creating small clouds. She pointed to some rocks. "See those lichens? They survive here too. Humans aren't the only tough organisms on this planet." Their next stop was completely different. The vehicle transformed. Now it moved across burning desert sands. Heat waves danced on the horizon. The temperature rose to 50 degrees Celsius. Again, Dr. Carter seemed completely comfortable. "The Atacama Desert in Chile," she explained. "One of the driest places on Earth. Some parts haven't seen rain in hundreds of years." Some men remembered the scientific reports he had studied. Most life forms would dry up and die in such conditions. But humans? They not only survived, but had built entire civilizations in these extreme environments. They passed a small settlement. People worked outside, protected only by light clothing and wide-brimmed hats. Solar panels captured energy. Small gardens grew using special irrigation techniques. "Adaptation is not just about surviving," Dr. Carter said. "It's about finding solutions." The journey continued, from the freezing Antarctic to the burning desert, then into a dense rainforest. Each environment presented its own challenges. Each environment had human settlements. In the Amazon rainforest, humidity was so high that breathing felt like drinking water. Insects buzzed everywhere. Dangerous plants and animals surrounded them. Yet indigenous communities had lived here for thousands of years. "Look at how they understand their environment," Dr. Carter pointed out. Local guides showed the students how they used plants for medicine, how they built homes that worked with the forest, not against it. A small cut on one guide's arm caught some men's attention. Instead of panicking, the man simply cleaned it with a leaf and continued working. Wound care in the middle of a dangerous environment, something that would require advanced medical technology for most alien species. By the end of the day, the alien students were quiet. The images they had in their minds about Earth were changing. This wasn't just a planet. This was a testing ground for survival. Some men looked at his notes. Pages filled with observations about human adaptability. How they didn't just survive in extreme environments. They thrived. "Humans are not limited by their environment," he whispered to himself. "They limit the environment." As the transport vehicle returned to the university, the alien students were different. They had seen something extraordinary, a species that didn't just exist in the world, but reshaped it to their needs. Earth was teaching them a lesson about life itself, a lesson of adaptation, resilience, and unexpected strength. The museum was quiet. Hai-Jin stood before a massive wall of photographs, her three eyes blinking in sequence as she tried to understand what she was seeing. Each image told a story of human survival, not just physical survival, but something deeper, something that seemed to challenge the very understanding of psychological endurance. Professor Williams, a human psychologist, walked up beside her. "What do you see?" he asked softly. Hai-Jin pointed to a photograph of a woman smiling. The background showed complete destruction. A city reduced to rubble, smoke rising, everything gone. "How can she smile?" Hai-Jin asked. The professor's eyes softened. "That's Maria. She survived a massive earthquake that destroyed her entire city, lost her home, her family. Yet here she is, rebuilding, hoping." The museum was designed specifically for the alien students. Each section explored a different aspect of human psychological resilience. Walls filled with stories of people who had faced impossible challenges and somehow found the strength to continue. Another display showed a young child who had survived a long war. The child's drawings were filled with color, with hope, despite the gray background of destruction. Next to the artwork, a simple text explained how humans process trauma. Humans have a unique ability. Professor Williams explained to the group of alien students. We call it post-traumatic growth. Most species would break after such experiences. Humans, they often become stronger. Dae-sung, who had been quietly listening, stepped forward. But how? How can a mind remain unbroken after such suffering? The professor led them to another section. Stories of people who had survived extreme isolation. Prisoners of war. Explorers trapped in impossible conditions. People who had lost everything but found a reason to keep going. Hope, he said simply. Humans create hope where none should exist. A holographic display showed different brain scans. Hai-Jin watched as the alien technology mapped human brain activity during extreme stress. Most species would show complete shutdown. Humans, their brains were lighting up with activity, creating new connections, finding solutions. Trina, the crystalline being, floated closer to a display about human support systems. They create connections, she observed. When one breaks, others help them stand. The museum was more than a collection of stories. It was a testament to something the alien students were struggling to understand. Humans didn't just survive. They transformed their suffering into strength. One story caught Hai-Jin's attention. A woman who had lost her legs in an accident. Instead of giving up, she had become a Paralympic athlete. Another display showed a man who had survived a terrible disease and now worked to help others with the same condition. We don't just heal, Professor Williams explained. We turn our pain into purpose. The alien students moved through the museum in silence. Their understanding of psychology was being completely rewritten. On their homeworlds, trauma meant the end. Here, on Earth, trauma seemed to be just another challenge to overcome. In one interactive display, students could experience a simulation of human psychological coping mechanisms. Hai-Jin watched as the holographic representation showed how humans process grief, fear, and loss. Most species would break. Krell, the silicon-based life form, clicked to Hai-Jin. Humans seemed to bend, but never completely break. As the day ended, Hai-Jin's notes were filled with observations that challenged everything she knew about mental strength. Humans weren't just survivors. They were psychological alchemists, turning pain into power, darkness into light. The last display showed a simple quote. Hai-Jin read it carefully. We are not defined by what happens to us, but by how we respond to it. For the alien students, it was becoming clear. Earth wasn't just a death world. It was a world of unexpected resilience. The survival training ground looked like a disaster zone. Broken machines, scattered tools, pieces of random equipment everywhere. Kiwoo stood at the edge of the field, his alien eyes wide with confusion. Your challenge, announced the human instructor, Captain Roberts, is simple. Survive and solve problems with what you have. Each alien student received a small bag. Inside were basic items, a piece of rope, some cloth, a small metal container, a few tools, and some basic food. No advanced technology, no special alien gear, just simple objects and their own minds. The training ground was designed to simulate different emergency scenarios. One section looked like a crashed spacecraft. Another resembled a damaged research station. The final area was set up like a wild forest environment. Humans call this MacGyver training, Captain Roberts explained. Named after an old Earth hero who could solve almost any problem with everyday items. Kaiwu watched as the first scenario began. A simulated emergency where the students had to create shelter, find water, and signal for help, all with minimal resources. Dae-sung approached a broken communications device. Most alien students would have given up, but he started examining it, moving pieces around, using the rope and cloth in creative ways. Look, Captain Roberts pointed out. They're not just using the items, they're reimagining them. In the crashed spacecraft simulation, Trina tried to create a water filtration system. She used the cloth as a filter, the metal container as a collection point, and some nearby plants to help clean the water. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. Krill, the silicon-based life form, managed to create a makeshift shelter using the rope and pieces of broken equipment. He wove the materials together in a way that provided protection from wind and potential threats. Improvisation is our greatest tool, Captain Roberts told Kiwu. Humans don't just use what they have. They see potential in everything. The next challenge was even more complex, a simulated medical emergency where students had to treat a wound and create a basic first aid kit with limited resources. Kaiwu watched in amazement. The human instructors showed how a piece of cloth could become a bandage, how a metal container could be sterilized, how plant materials could be used for basic medicine. On most planets, Captain Roberts explained, a situation like this would mean certain death. Humans see it as a puzzle to solve. One simulation showed how to start a fire without matches. Another demonstrated how to create a basic compass. Each challenge pushed the alien students to think differently. Kaiwu's own challenge involved repairing a damaged communication device. He started with the basic tools, carefully examining each piece. His alien hands moved differently from human hands, but the principle was the same. Understand the problem, use available resources. By the end of the day, the training ground was filled with improvised solutions. Shelters made from broken equipment, water filtration systems created from cloth and containers, communication devices rebuilt using creative methods. Humans don't wait for perfect conditions, Captain Roberts told the group. We create solutions. Kaiwu looked at his notes, pages filled with observations about human creativity. How they didn't see limitations, they saw opportunities. As the sun set, the alien students gathered to discuss what they had learned. Their understanding of technology was changing. It wasn't about having the most advanced tools. It was about how you use what you had. We are not defined by our resources. Kaiwu heard one student say, we are defined by our ability to use them. The training had shown them something important. Humans weren't just survivors. They were inventors, problem solvers, masters of turning nothing into something. Earth was teaching them a lesson about innovation, a lesson that went far beyond simple technology, a lesson about human spirit itself. The Medical Research Center was unlike anything Jinho had ever seen. Walls filled with complex charts, machines that could measure the smallest changes in human body systems, and at the center of it all, human volunteers ready to push their bodies to the edge of possibility. Dr. Martinez stood before the alien students, her smile both welcoming and challenging. Today, she announced, we're going to explore human physical capabilities. Jinho leaned forward. As a xenophysiology researcher, he had studied countless species. But humans were different. Impossible. Fascinating. The first demonstration focused on pain tolerance. A human volunteer named Mark stood ready. Sensors covered his body, measuring every tiny response. Most species, Dr. Martinez explained, would shut down under extreme stimuli. Humans, we've learned to manage and control our pain response. The demonstration began. Controlled cold, controlled heat, pressure tests that would have destroyed most biological systems. Mark winced sometimes. He breathed deeply, but he didn't break. Look at his brain activity. Dr. Martinez pointed to a holographic display. See how he's processing pain. He's not just feeling it. He's fighting it, controlling it. Trina, the crystalline being, flickered with confusion. How is this possible? She asked. The next test was even more surprising. Endurance challenges that showed how humans could push beyond normal biological limits. A marathon runner demonstrated how humans could run incredible distances. Not just run, but maintain a steady pace for hours. Humans evolved as persistence hunters, Dr. Martinez explained. We didn't have the fastest speed, but we could outlast our prey. Our bodies are designed for long-distance survival. Jinho watched the data. The human body was processing heat, managing energy, controlling pain in ways that defied scientific understanding. Sweat, breathing, muscle movement. Each was a complex system of survival. They moved to another room showing extreme environmental adaptations. Humans who lived in high mountains with low oxygen. People who worked in deep-sea environments. Individuals who survived in temperatures that would kill most species. "We're not the strongest," Dr. Martinez said. "We're not the fastest, but we adapt." A special demonstration showed human healing capabilities. A controlled wound was made on a volunteer. Cameras tracked the healing process in real time. Cells moving, tissue rebuilding. A process that would take weeks for most species happened in days. "Our immune system doesn't just fight," Dr. Martinez explained. "It learns, it remembers, it improves." Jinho's notes were filling up quickly. Observations that challenged everything he knew about biological systems. Humans weren't just surviving. They were rewriting the rules of survival. The final demonstration was about mental and physical connection. A meditation expert showed how humans could control bodily functions through mental techniques. Slowing heart rate, changing brain wave patterns, controlling pain through thought alone. "Most species are controlled by their biology," Dr. Martinez said. "Humans control their biology." As the day ended, the alien students were quiet. They had seen something extraordinary, a species that didn't just exist within biological limits, but constantly pushed beyond them. Jinho looked at his final notes. One simple sentence captured everything. Humans are not defined by their limitations. They are defined by their ability to overcome them. The medical center had shown them more than just physical capabilities. It had revealed a fundamental truth about human nature. A truth that went far beyond simple biology. Earth was teaching them a lesson about life itself. A lesson of unexpected strength, of resilience beyond understanding. Humans weren't just a species. They were a force of nature. The history hall was quiet. Young-ji walked slowly, her alien eyes scanning the massive holographic displays. Each image told a story of human survival that seemed impossible. Professor Garcia stood nearby, her hands clasped behind her back. "Survival is more than staying alive," she said. "It's about hope, about keeping your spirit unbroken." The first display showed the story of Ernest Shackleton's Antarctic expedition, a group of explorers trapped in one of the most hostile environments on the planet. Their ship crushed by ice, months of darkness, temperatures that would kill most life forms. "Watch carefully," Professor Garcia told the alien students. "This is not just a story of survival. This is a story of human leadership and hope." Eun-ji read the details. Shackleton kept his entire crew alive for nearly 2 years in conditions that should have been impossible. No modern technology, limited food, constant danger. Yet every single crew member survived. The next display focused on survival during human wars. Stories of people who survived impossible situations. Prisoners of war who maintained hope. Civilians who protected each other in the worst conditions. Dae-sung, standing nearby, asked a question. How do they keep going when everything seems lost? Professor Garcia smiled. Because humans believe in something greater than their current situation. Hope. Community. The belief that things can get better. Another holographic scene showed the aftermath of natural disasters. A small community rebuilding after a massive hurricane. People helping each other, sharing resources, creating hope from complete destruction. Most species would break. Krell, the silicon-based life form, observed. Humans seem to bend, but never completely break. The displays continued. Stories of medical miracles. People surviving diseases that should have killed them. Individuals overcoming impossible physical challenges. A woman who walked again after being told she would never move her legs. Young-ji was fascinated by a display about human space exploration. Astronauts who survived in the most hostile environment imaginable. Space itself. Limited resources. Extreme isolation. Constant danger. We don't just survive, Professor Garcia explained. We explore. We push boundaries. One story caught Young-ji's attention. A group of miners trapped underground for weeks. Limited food, limited oxygen, no clear rescue plan. Yet they worked together, shared resources, kept each other's spirits high. The alien students moved from display to display. Each story challenged their understanding of survival. It wasn't about individual strength. It was about something deeper. A display about human medical breakthroughs showed how humans turned personal tragedy into hope for others. Survivors of diseases who became researchers. People who lost loved ones creating support systems for others. Humans transform pain, Professor Garcia said. We don't just survive. We use our survival to help others. The final display was the most powerful. It showed a timeline of human challenges, wars, natural disasters, diseases, space exploration, medical challenges. Each moment showed not just survival, but growth. Trina, the crystalline being, floated closer to Yunji. They don't just survive, she said. They learn. They improve. As the day ended, Yunji's notes were filled with observations that went beyond simple survival. Humans weren't just a species that survived. They were a species that found meaning in survival. The last quote on the wall caught her eye. Simple words that seemed to capture everything. We rise by lifting others. For the alien students, it was becoming clear. Earth wasn't just a dangerous planet. It was a planet of unexpected resilience, a planet where survival was an art form, and hope was the most powerful weapon. The simulation chamber was silent. Dae-sung looked around at his fellow alien students. They were about to experience something no alien species had ever attempted before, a true human survival scenario. This is your final test, announced Captain Roberts. His voice was calm, too calm. The chamber transformed. Suddenly, they were in a harsh environment. Cold wind blew. Rocks and uneven ground made walking difficult. The temperature dropped quickly. -10 degrees, -20. The alien students began to panic. Survive was the only instruction they received. Trina, the crystalline being, started to crack. Her delicate structure wasn't made for such extreme conditions. Krell's silicon-based body became brittle. The other alien students struggled to move. But something strange was happening. The humans in the simulation were different. A human guide named Maria moved confidently. She showed them how to create shelter, how to find water, how to stay warm. Not with advanced technology, just with basic knowledge and human determination. Dae-sung watched carefully. The humans weren't just surviving. They were teaching survival. The environment changed. Now it was a burning desert. Heat waves made the air shimmer. Temperature rose to 50 degrees Celsius. Most of the alien students would have given up. But the human guides kept moving. Conserve energy, Maria explained. Find shade. Move slowly. Stay hydrated. Each alien student was given a basic survival kit. A small container, some cloth, a few tools. No advanced alien technology, just simple human equipment. Yunji tried to create a shelter. Her hands were shaking. The wind was strong. The ground was hard. But she remembered what she had learned. Humans didn't give up. Krell managed to use some rocks to create a basic windbreak. His silicon body was struggling, but his mind was working. He was using human survival techniques. The simulation continued. Challenges came one after another. Limited food, difficult terrain, changing weather conditions. Each moment tested their limits. Trina discovered how to collect moisture from the air, something she would never have thought possible before. Her crystalline body was learning to adapt. Jin-ho used medical knowledge to help his fellow students, checking for signs of stress, helping them manage their energy, applying human survival techniques. The human guides didn't just watch. They guided. They showed. They helped the alien students understand how humans survived. Survival is not about strength, Maria explained. It's about adaptation, about working together. Hours passed. The alien students were exhausted. but they were still moving, still surviving. At one point, the simulation created a medical emergency. One student was injured. The others had to work together to help, just like humans would. Dae-sung realized something important. Survival wasn't about having the best technology. It was about mindset, about hope, about never giving up. As the simulation came to an end, something had changed. The alien students looked different. They had experienced something beyond simple survival. Captain Roberts smiled. "Humans are not the strongest," he said. "We are not the fastest, but we never give up." The chamber returned to normal. The alien students looked at each other. They had changed. They had learned something important about survival. Dae-sung looked at his notes. One sentence stood out. "Survival is not about what happens to you. It's about how you respond." The experiment was over, but the lesson had just begun. The Galactic University auditorium was packed. Thousands of alien species waited to hear about the Earth Exchange program. On the stage, Dae-sung took a deep breath. This was the moment that would change everything. Professor Martinez sat in the front row, her eyes filled with quiet pride. "When we first came to Earth," Dae-sung began, "we thought we understood what survival meant." The holographic display behind him came to life. Images from their journey flashed. The Antarctic expedition, the medical research center, the survival simulations. Trina, standing beside him, added her crystalline voice. "We were wrong." The presentation told a story unlike any the Galactic University had heard before. Not a scientific report, but a journey of understanding. Each alien student shared their discoveries. Krull spoke about human technological improvisation, how humans could create solutions from almost nothing. "They don't wait for perfect conditions," he explained. "They create perfect conditions." Eunji shared stories of human historical survival, tales of hope that went beyond simple existence. "Humans transform their pain into purpose," she said. Her voice was strong. Jin-ho presented the biological data, charts showing human adaptability that defied all known scientific understanding. "They are not limited by their biology," he explained. "They expand it." The audience was silent. Most alien species saw Earth as a dangerous place, a planet to be avoided. Today, that view was changing. "Earth is not just a death world," Dae-sung said. "It is a world of unexpected potential." Images of human achievements filled the screen. Space exploration, medical breakthroughs, survival in impossible conditions. Each image told a story of human resilience. Professor Martinez watched proudly. She knew what the students had discovered, something that went beyond simple survival. Trina shared their survival simulation experience, how humans approach challenges not with fear, but with hope. "They don't just survive," she explained. "They grow." The final part of the presentation was the most powerful, a compilation of human stories, people who had overcome impossible challenges, who had turned personal pain into global progress. "We learned something important," Dae-sung said. "Humans are not defined by their limitations. They are defined by their ability to overcome them." The auditorium was completely silent. Thousands of alien species were seeing Earth differently for the first time. Krull showed how humans work together, how community was their greatest strength. "They are stronger together," he explained. "Individual survival is not the goal. Collective progress is." Jin-ho presented the medical data, how human bodies could heal, adapt, and improve in ways no other species could. "They are living proof that life is not about avoiding challenges," he said. "It's about meeting them." Eunji shared the historical narratives, stories of hope that went beyond simple survival. "Humans don't just live through difficulties," she explained. "They learn from them. They grow from them." As the presentation ended, something had changed in the auditorium. The fear about Earth was gone, replaced by something else. Respect, wonder, understanding. "Earth is not a death world," Dae-sung concluded. "It is a world of life, of hope, of unexpected potential." The applause was thunderous. not just clapping, but a sound of understanding, of a fundamental shift in how the galaxy saw humanity. Professor Martinez smiled. The students had learned more than she could have ever taught them. They had discovered the true meaning of human existence. As they left the stage, Dae-sung looked at his fellow students. They were different now. They had seen something extraordinary. They had seen humanity.